Hey guys, I'm Dee, otherwise known as D&M Locks, and today we're going to go over things I wish I knew before I started my lock journey. Firstly, I wish I knew what size locks that I wanted. This is my third lock journey for some of you who may not know. My third lock journey. So my first lock journey, I had about 80 locks. And at the time, I liked them in the beginning, but then as I started to grow out, I couldn't do as many styles as I wanted to do, and they were much bigger than I wanted them to be. And I would always see other people's locks that be smaller, and I'd be like, oh, I really want those locks. I'm like, I really want that size. And after a while, I was like, okay, I have to just restart because I can't do this. So then I started another lock journey, but that's for another story. But right now I have 122 locks, I believe. I'm gonna have to do a lock recount video as well. But I love the size of my locks now, but the one thing that I wish I knew before was how many locks I wanted in the beginning. So then I wouldn't have to start over like 3 or 4 times. The second thing I wish I knew before I started my locks was if I wanted a middle part. So on my second set of locks, the lady did them, she did them really well, but she put a lock like right in the center of my head, and it used to get on my last nerve. Literally, I used to be like, oh, I wish I had a middle part. And then I was like, but at the time I was like, oh, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to start all over again, or I don't want her to restart them over again and start this whole process over again. And then it became like 5-6 months down the line. I was like, okay, I have to restart because I want a middle part. I feel like it just looks cleaner, and it's just what was best for me. But if you don't care about parting or how your parts are, then that's fine. But for me personally, I know that it really got on my nerves when I didn't have a middle part. So I definitely needed to get one, which as you can see, I did. Next, the third thing that I wish I knew before starting my locks was if I was really ready to commit to them. I've had 3 journeys so far, and I remember the first and second, it was just so hard for me to keep them in because I was so used to wigs and braids and loose natural and so used to switching them up all the time and just having different styles all the time. And that for me, it was really hard for me to commit to my locks. By the time I had this set, which is like my third or fourth set, by the time I had this set, I was ready to settle down with my locks. I was ready to just grow them out. I remember always being like, oh, I wish I could grow out my locks. I wish my locks were super long, but I would never let them grow that long because I was so used to switching out my hairstyles. So when I got to this set, I was like, okay, I'm settling down. I have my third or fourth set, and this is my final set, and I'm so glad that I stuck it out. I am four years and some change locked, so this is really good growth for that long. I'm gonna be 5 years in March, but I'm so glad that I stuck it out. But I really think that this was the set that I wanted to be my final. The final thing that I wish I knew before starting my locks um, is that my locks are not gonna look like somebody else's. So when I first started my locks, I would look at other people for inspiration, and I would be like, oh, I want my locks to look exactly like this, or look exactly like this picture. And I showed my loctician what I wanted my locks to look like. Not knowing at the time that depending on your hair texture, if it's more loose or more tight, or if like you have thinner hair strands, your hair's not gonna turn out different than somebody else's. Let's say my sister got locks. She has thicker strands of hair, and she also has more hair on her head. Compared to me, I have thinner strands of hair, but I do have a lot of hair in my head. So if she were to get locks, they would be more thicker compared to me. So she had 122 locks. Her locks would be like thicker, and they would be more full compared to me having thinner strands of hair or mine are more on the small side. So definitely you can look at other people for inspiration, but do not compare your locks to somebody else's because it's gonna turn out differently. And you're gonna love them just the way they are, but It's just a warning, kind of, to let you know that they're not gonna look exactly like somebody else's, but you're gonna love them the same. So that's it for this video, but if you'd like to hear more things that I wish I knew before I started my locks, let me know. I can make a part 2. Also, like, comment, and subscribe if you like this content, and then put in the comments anything else you'd like to know about locks or any questions that you may have about locks. See you next time!